This is the CMS TV news with Christine Lambris, and the time now is 12 noon. First with the headlines. London Marathon tributes to Boston victims. On Stephen Lawrence anniversary, racism fight goes on. US awaits Boston bombing charges. Dozens killed in Syria, army attack. Now with the news. First with the news from the UK. London Marathon tributes to Boston victims. London Marathon's runners fall silent on the start line in memory of Boston bombing's victims amid heavy police presence. Many of the 36,000 fun runners, athletes and fundraisers wore a black ribbon as mark of respect to those affected by the attack. Despite concerns raised by the bomb attacks on Boston Marathon, huge crowds turned out to watch the races on the glorious spring day in London. Royal College of Nursing brands reforms as stupid. Nurses leaders have branded parts of the government plans to reform the profession as stupid. The Royal College of Nursing said ministers had missed an opportunity to improve patient care after the Stafford Hospital scandal public inquiry. The strongest criticism was given to the plan to get trainee nurses to work for a year as healthcare assistants. And finally, Stephen Lawrence anniversary, racism fights goes on. 20 years ago, the murder of Stephen Lawrence by a group of racist thugs changed the lives of his family. Their grief, mistreatment by the police, and then anger fundamentally changed the way Britain viewed its ethnic minorities. And heading over to the US news, US awaits Boston bombings charges. US federal prosecutors are preparing against the surviving Boston Marathon bomb suspect Zohar Sarneev as more details emerge of his capture. If he is charged with using a weapon of mass destruction to kill people, he could face the death penalty. Mr. Sarneev is in hospital, unable to speak because of a wound to the throat. However, reports from ABC, NBC, and CBS networks reported late on Sunday that the suspect was responding in writing to interrogation. This included questions about possible cell members and other explosives. On the other hand, 5 killed in an apartment complex shooting in Seattle. 5 people have been killed in an apartment complex in Washington state, including a suspect who was shot by officers. Police says officers responded to a report of shots being fired at Pinewood apartment complex in Federal Way, south of Seattle at 9:30 p.m. Federal Way police spokesman Kathy Choshuk said, "When we arrived, there was a lot of gunfire already being fired and multiple cells. 9/11 calls of gunfire. Police found 2 injured men in a parking lot, one of whom reached for a gun as the officers moved to assist them," she said. At that point, the officers opened fire. And finally, with news from the Middle East. Dozens killed in Syrian army attack. Syrian government troops have seized a town near Damascus, killing at least 80 people, including women and children, opposition activists say. The army stormed the town of Jihadat al-Fadl after 5 days of heavy fighting, they report. Syria's Sana state news agency said government forces inflicted heavy losses upon terrorists in the town. At least 70,000 people have died since the uprising against President Bashar al-Assad, which began in March 2011. The latest killings come as the army tries to break a ring of rebel-held areas around Damascus. And finally, Egypt's Minister of Justice resigns. Egypt's Justice Minister has resigned following demands from Islamist supporters of President Mohamed Morsi for the cleansing of the judiciary. Ahmed Makki was seen as the supporter of judicial independence during former President Hosni Mubarak's rule. He threatened to quit last year after the president adopted broader powers. Thousands of pro-Morsi supporters demonstrated on Friday, calling for those linked to the former regime to be removed from judiciary. The protests turned violent as the demonstrators clashed with opponents. Thanks for watching. This was the CMS TV News with Christine Lambres. For more updates, join us at 5.